Hi, and a really warm hello from Templates for Change. This is part of the 10-minute Turning Point series, and my name is Christine Thompson. This one is all about keeping a healthy balance. But before going into the content of this particular one, I'd like to remind you a little bit about the idea behind the Turning Point series. At Templates for Change, we're really very well aware of how busy people's lives are in our 21st century. And often there's not enough time, as much time as we perhaps would like, to spend on important things like our own well-being, our own personal development, our own balances. And so what we've done, we've put our minds to some very simple ideas, simple concepts, which when taken on board and put into practice on a regular and even better on a daily basis, can really help enhance the quality of life. At least that's what we found. So this one is all about keeping a healthy balance. I don't think many people would disagree that one's state of balance is one of the most integral features of having a healthy and a happy life. And perhaps we all know the consequences when we get out of balance and how it can seriously jeopardize our well-being and health. Yet, it's probably true, from time to time we all lose our cool. At least that's my experience. And oftentimes, even if we don't actually lose it, there's a build-up of things on the inside, a build-up of pressure, sometimes things not expressed at the point. And then sometimes that pent-up pressure comes bursting out of us and we actually blow our top and explode. Hopefully in a circumstance where it doesn't damage other people around us, which of course it can do, sadly. Other times we turn in on ourselves and implode. It's like the circumstances around us just cause us to cave in, can often cause a real reduction in self-confidence and that sort of sense of not quite knowing how to handle the situation around us. And perhaps we've all experienced this, or many of us have experienced this from time to time. So really, this whole 10-minute turnaround is all about the pressure that we run at. And when we get into an explosion, when there's too much internal pressure, this is a bit like a balloon with too much air in it. You can only put so much air into that balloon before it bursts. Or another analogy would be a bicycle tire or a car tire. You can only pump it up so far, and then you got this boom explosion. And it's a bit like this with us when we lose our rag, just putting it in very colloquial terms. Now implosion is the opposite of this. It's when there's too much external pressure, when the pressure that's coming at us is just too great and it causes us to fold in on ourselves. And a great analogy for this is like standing on an empty box. You put your weight on it and the whole thing squashes and flattens. This is a bit like implosion. It's a caving in on oneself, turning in on oneself. Often makes it difficult to express oneself freely, to communicate easily. These are some of the kind of things that turn up when we're going into this imploded state and cause a person to feel very down, very isolated, very much on their own. So the big question is, how can we better keep our equilibrium? This is the big question. Well, the concept itself is very simple to explain, but of course it's not quite so simple to embody or to put in practice on a permanent basis. In fact, I think it would be impossible to hold the state of balance all the time. It's natural, isn't it, for life's ups and downs. Now, if there's too much pressure building up, the first important thing to know is to notice it and to find ways to let off a bit of steam. It's very much like releasing a valve. Too much pressure, you've got to find ways to adjust the dials a bit in yourself, in our own bodies, our own emotions, our mind states. So what sort of things can let off steam? Well, loads, and I'm sure most people find their own ways of doing this quite instinctively. But what I'm talking about here is doing it a bit more consciously. So the thing is to develop a pattern in oneself where you're kind of taking stock of what your balances are like. And when you see there is too much pressure building up internally, make a point of phoning a friend, having a chat, something that makes you laugh, like watching a funny movie, or even write down the problems, have a hug, a massage, even cry if that's what works for you. It's all to do with releasing pressure. And this really is a terrific ongoing awareness that can be of great help. Now, alternatively, if you find this internal pressure is just too great, the other thing you can do is increase the external influences to match this internal pressure. And some of the things that will work for this is, do something like hard physical work, like gardening, or going for a run, or cleaning the house, or a workout, or even taking on a bigger mental challenge. These are just a few examples where you're deliberately taking something outside of yourself, taking on something outside of yourself to match the internal pressure. Now, the opposite, when we're talking about implosion, when there's too much external pressure and you find yourself caving in, then again there's ways to handle this, because nobody wants to feel crushed. It's the most horrible, demoralizing feeling. So again, the first thing is to notice it, and then either decrease your workload, or prioritize, or cut down what you've taken on, or ask for help to share the tasks. And, well, life can be very demanding. One's work or family or home circumstance, or all of that in combination, can sometimes just seem like it's all too much. Well, when that feeling comes up, that's the time to stop and take stock. The other thing one can do when there's that sense of just being a little overwhelmed by it all is to increase the internal pressure. And the way to do that actually is not difficult. It can take just a moment, just to regather your mind, meditate, or remember the reason why you're doing something. All of these will build up one's stamina to be able to handle what you're doing. So it's all about rebalancing the pressure between what is inside us and what is outside us. And understanding the pressures in our life and ourselves, and developing the ability as a daily awareness to watch these trends in ourselves will really help maintain our well-being. And in a busy world like ours, that's pretty good. So thanks for joining us. Hope you found it really useful. Bye for now.